Welcome to Autoscinab, your ultimate destination for honest, in-depth movie reviews and insights. Here, we break down the latest Hollywood blockbusters, hidden gems, and timeless classics with passion and clarity. Whether you're a casual viewer or a cinephile, join us on this cinematic adventure to explore, enjoy, and discover movies like never before. Subscribe and dive into the world of cinema.
At first glance, Mafia boss behind bars becomes a mentor might look like a typical crime thriller. A fearless Mafia boss falling victim to law enforcement, a high-security prison setting, and explosive action. However, the movie quickly establishes itself as more than a genre exercise. It is a story about power, downfall, human complexity, and the unexpected redemptive possibilities even within the darkest circumstances. The filmmakers craft a visceral world governed by mafia codes and prison rules, where violence is an everyday reality. Yet underneath the surface lies a deeper human story about change and curses undone through bonds formed against all odds. This dual narrative gives the film an emotional depth that elevates it well beyond standard action fare. The narrative begins in the urban jungle of organized crime. Vincent Romano reigns supreme as the ruthless mafia boss who built his empire on fear, smart strategy, and brute force. He commands both respect and terror, his name synonymous with power and lawlessness as he dominates illegal gambling, extortion, and drug trafficking within a sprawling metropolis. Despite his iron grip, Vincent's empire begins to crumble due to betrayal and increased police pressure. The storyline cleverly explores mafia politics and the fragile alliances within the crime world, showing the risks of such a violent lifestyle. The tension peaks when Vincent narrowly survives a raid, but is ultimately arrested and sentenced to 10 years in a notoriously brutal federal prison. Prison life initially overwhelms Vincent. Stripped from his external power and locked among hostile inmates, many of whom see him as either a threat or a potential ally. The film explores his psychological unraveling and adjustment with cinematic realism, emphasizing Vincent's vulnerability and raw survival instinct. However, what follows is the film's most interesting arc. Vincent encounters an aging former mob boss turned spiritual guide, Father Joseph, who has found peace through redemption. Father Joseph takes Vincent under his wing, encouraging him to rethink his life's path. Through their conversations, the audience witnesses Vincent's internal transformation, a transition from self-destructive defiance to thoughtful rebellion, and finally to a mentor role where he uses his knowledge to guide younger inmates away from repeating his mistakes. The most gripping segments feature Vincent navigating gang rivalries and corrupt guards, using his wits, not just muscle, to maintain order and protect those he mentors. The prison itself becomes a battleground where Vincent's growth is tested against violence, treachery, and temptation. The climax delivers a spectacular riot scene where Vincent's leadership is crucial, balancing action with moral stakes. Through flashbacks interspersed with the present events, the film reveals Vincent's backstory, motivations, and complexity, humanizing a figure often painted as purely villainous. These narrative devices enrich the story, preventing predictability and sustaining suspense. Vincent Romano's character development is one of the film's highlights. His portrayal defies the typical macho stereotype of a mob boss. Instead, he evolves into a multi-layered anti-hero whose ruthless exterior hides deep regrets and a yearning for redemption. His performance is nuanced and emotional, capturing Vincent's fierce pride alongside moments of tenderness. Father Joseph is more than a mentor. He symbolizes the possibility of faith and change even amidst violence. His calm demeanor and wise sayings contrast sharply with prison brutality, introducing spiritual themes organically woven into the crime narrative. The younger inmates, each with troubled histories of poverty, abuse, or failed futures, reflect different facets of society. Vincent's mentoring is portrayed as genuine and impactful, illustrating how leadership and second chances can kindle hope even in the bleakest environments. The antagonists range from hardened criminals to corrupt officials, each serving as catalysts for conflict and dramatic tension. They challenge Vincent not just physically, but psychologically, forcing him to evolve strategies that rely on intelligence over brute force. Female characters, although limited in the prison setting, provide emotional anchors for Vincent, providing glimpses into his personal life and the costs his criminality imposed on family relationships. Gritty realism with a cinematic flourish. The director carefully balances raw, unfiltered realism with highly cinematic elements that enhance narrative impact without losing authenticity. The use of handheld cameras during fights delivers an immersive experience, plunging the viewer into violent chaos with a palpable sense of danger and urgency. Contrastingly, slow, steady shots during Vincent's mentoring sessions underline the emotional weight of these moments, fostering viewer connection to character growth. The dim lighting of prison corridors with flickering fluorescent lights and claustrophobic set design reinforces the oppressive atmosphere that Vincent must navigate mentally and physically. Stylized flashbacks use muted color tones and softer focus to distinguish past from present, emphasizing the psychological contrast in Vincent's life before and after incarceration. Pacing is expertly managed, alternating moments of explosive action with reflective scenes, avoiding fatigue and maintaining engagement throughout the film's near 2.5-hour runtime. What keeps audiences on the edge of their seats are the outstanding action scenes, both brutal and strategic. Fight choreography avoids repetitive punching scenes, instead incorporating hand-to-hand combat with improvised weapons, tactical moves, and psychological warfare. A standout sequence early in the film involves Vincent escaping a police raid with precision and brutality that set the tone for relentless suspense. Inside the prison, a masterfully shot riot sequence where Vincent coordinates with inmates to quell violence and protect his protégés is a tour de force of practical effects, tense stunt coordination, and character-driven conflict. Small-scale confrontations between gangs are executed with realism, using confined spaces, close quarters, and raw physicality, underscoring the harsh realities of prison life. The film uses violence not just for spectacle, but to underscore narrative and character stakes, reinforcing the message that Vincent's fight is as much for survival as it is for personal change, redemption, brotherhood, and legacy. The heart of the film lies in its rich thematic explorations. It challenges traditional notions of criminal life and redemption by showing that transformation often begins in the toughest environments. Vincent's journey questions whether a lifetime of crime can be undone, or at least redirected towards something meaningful. The film suggests that accountability combined with mentorship can spark genuine change. Vincent's role in shaping younger inmates reflects the power of experience and guidance, highlighting social commentary on cycles of violence and how they might be broken. Transitioning from a feared boss in the outside world to a wise mentor inside prison illustrates how leadership adapts and carries moral responsibility beyond power. Flashbacks and emotional dialogues reveal personal costs of Vincent's criminal choices, alienation from loved ones, and the yearning for reconciliation. The film realistically portrays prison dynamics. Loyalties are fragile, danger is constant, and survival depends on wit and alliances. Cinematographer techniques capture the grim realities of prison and the chaos of mafia violence through gritty textures, shadow play, and tightly framed shots emphasizing confinement and tension. Contrasting smooth Steadicam shots during intimate scenes help humanize the characters. The musical score supports the film's dual nature. Aggressive percussion and heavy bass underpin chase and fight scenes, while softer piano and strings appear during Vincent's moments of reflection and mentorship, subtly directing emotional response. Sound design is immersive. Every clink of chains, shouted command, or whispered conversation is vivid, pulling the viewer deeper into the film's atmosphere. The screenplay stands out for its balance between hard-hitting action exposition and moments of quiet introspection. Dialogue cleverly reveals character motivations without resorting to cliches. Vincent's speeches to his inmates resonate with authenticity, mixing street-smart wisdom and regretful hope. The film avoids glamorizing crime. Instead, it shows the harsh consequences and moral complexities, making the characters relatable even when flawed. Mafia boss behind bars becomes a mentor is a compelling triumph in the action genre. delivering excitement, emotional resonance, and profound character journeys. Its success lies not only in intense, choreographed set pieces, but also in powerful storytelling about redemption, influence, and human resilience. This film stands as a shining example of how action movies can transcend genre constraints to tell meaningful, character-driven stories. It's a must-watch for fans of crime dramas and action cinema that challenge the hero archetype, offering a fresh perspective on the power of transformation even behind bars.